This is card number 3, and remember from card number 2 we had leftover pieces, and this is what we're going to be using for the leftover pieces. Remember, they were the little circles that from the other card. There's the Vacation Craze and the circle from the other card that we had, and that's going to create the center here. We have that for the items. What I want to do is we have a sentiment. And what I want you to do is take a look at the sentiments that are in there, and you're going to look for one that in particular that's French. And the reason I want to do that is we're going to be cutting off these parts of the words because we want to keep the end of the flag, and we're going to be using that on the sentiment. There is the leftover card base from card number 2 that we had reserved, and we want to use this, and we're going to be stamping on that. We also want to bring in a piece of the, for the inside. I want to, in particular, if you've reserved any portion of the triangle from the envelope, what I want you to do is keep that, and we're going to use that on the inside of the card, and that's going to look very, very cool. When you're ready, let's get going, and we're going to start with some stamping. And we're going to be doing the stamping on that card piece that we have in the front. In particular, we're going to be looking at the little sparkly pieces like right here, and that's what we're going to use on the background. What I want to do first is to get an idea of how far out I need to go with those stamping off the sparklies, and I am going to ink it up, and we're going to do quite a bit. So I need to look so I can see it roughly about there. I'm going to stamp on that. And I'm just going to do that all the way around. I'm going to try and not double over, but I want to have enough that it is kind of like a circle. There we go. You can see the circle taking shape. And if I place that on there, it's going to look really good. So that's kind of around there. It's a little bit on the low side here, but that's okay. We're going to be covering that with our sentiment. What we want to do in this particular little circle, I can either just leave it the way it is, or I can take my buildings, like from here, and stamp them right on top if I want. I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to stamp that right on top. There you go. And you can see the skyline on there a little bit with the other one behind it. Kind of gives an interesting design to it. Remember that Vacation Craze circle? All we need to do is cut that in half. And we're going to be offsetting it on either side. And the way that we're going to do that is going to kind of angle it so that it kind of hides the little areas right here. If you want, you can always cut them in a little bit. Just like that. Nobody will ever notice. And that is to make a little circle. And I'm going to use this to kind of hold it. I'm going to use a dimensional. I'm going to place it on one side. Put a couple of dimensionals on to hold that in place. I'm going to take the next one. Again, I'm just going to cut it in just a small amount. You could barely see it. It's just so that the sharp corners don't peek out from the edge. Again, I'm going to place on some dimensionals so that I can have it kind of going across on that. And it's just peeking out. It's in the right spot. Add some more dimensionals to hold it in place. And I'm going to put that on the front of the card. There we go. I'm going to take a look, clear it like that. There we go, on the front. What I want to do now is I'm going to add that sentiment. So I have the sentiment. It's going to kind of sit off to the side a little bit, but I want to take this piece and I want to use the flag ends. All I'm going to do is cut this off. And I am going to put a dimensional on the back. Again, we're overlapping. And if I just place that over that sentiment, you can see it peeking out with no other words. This is really good if you want to extend and use all the pieces. In particular, I wanted to use the ones with French because they are shorter. Okay, go just like that. And I'm going to pretend I'm going to try and line it up as best as I can so it looks like it's all the way across. There we go. That dimensional there. I'm going to add a couple of more dimensionals just to hold it in place. Okay. I'm just going to pop that on there. That's looking really good. Oh, there we go. I did forget to mention that we do have a boho blue card base, and we should be cutting, actually, before I glue this down, I realized I forgot to cut it down to 4 inches by 5 1/4. That's okay. I can still do that now. I did that on the other piece, but I don't think I did it on this. So I'm going to take a little bit off. And there we go. Sometimes we forget a step in between. There you go. So I have my boho blue card base, and I'm going to glue that on to the card base itself. I do apologize about that. Sometimes I forget a step or two. We're going to pop that on the outside just like that. Get a couple of our embellishments that we can add on here and there. And on the inside, remember I had that corner, oops, sorry about that. I had the corner of this envelope, and what I want to do is I'm going to be stamping a skyline on there. And I'm going to line it up so it's just like that. Very cool. And a little bit of glue. You notice that this is the inside of the envelope. You can always just wet the edge because there is already glue from the flap. And we're going to pop that on the inside. I'm just going to cut off the overhanging pieces. So that it fits exactly in there. And there we go. There's the card on the outside. And on the inside, and I still have space to write my sentiment. It was a very cool card. So that was the reserved pieces from the other card from number 2.